there are moments when it is very difficult for me to abide in the self. For example, when there's conflict with other people, should I avoid relationships that are trouble so that it becomes easier to abide in the self?
Don't try to avoid anything. Don't outwardly avoid anything. What we need to avoid is allowing our attention to go outwards. All the problems arise because we allow our attention to go outwards. We can't blame the world. We can't blame the problems of relationships or anything in this world. We cannot blame that for our being distracted. Why are we attending to these things? Because we still have a taste to go out and experience all these things. So the problem doesn't lie in the external world. The problem lies in us, in our liking to attend to the external world. So Bhagavan said, external life, it's going on according to prarabdha. Bhagavan said in one place in Maharshi's Gospel, it's recorded, Bhagavan said, make no effort either to work or to renounce. Your effort itself is a bondage. Why should we be concerned about this external world? Okay, now we experience ourselves as a person. This person has a certain destiny in this world. Let this person experience that destiny. Our aim is to separate ourselves from this person. Merely separating ourselves from others doesn't solve the problem because we're still taking this person along with us. What we need to separate ourselves from is the person we seem to be. So long as I'm aware of myself as I am Michael, I have relationships with others, and some relationships will be very pleasant, some will be very unpleasant. All sorts of relationships are there. So let us not worry about the relationships. Let us not worry about the person whom we mistake ourselves to be. We are not this person. Who am I? That is our aim. So we turn back within. If we are distracted by problems in relationships and so on, the problem lies not in those relationships, but in our own vasanas. But vasanas are only inclinations. We are never bound by our vasanas. If we are swayed by our vasanas, that is because we want to be swayed by our vasanas. But vasanas cannot sway us unless we allow ourselves to be swayed by them. That is why we need to cling, as far as we are willing to do so, we need to cling to self-attentiveness. The more we cling to self-attentiveness, the more our sat vasana will be strengthened and our vishaya vasanas will be weakened. So we will become more and more unconcerned about these things. Yeah, it's inevitable. If we are a person, we cannot avoid relationships with other people. And some relationships are smooth, some are not so smooth. I mean, all sorts of problems are there in the world. So we cannot, so long as we take ourselves to be a person, we cannot avoid any problems of the world. Whatever problems the world throws at us, there are problems if we are this person. But are we this person? Are we this body? Who am I? That is what we need to find out. So we need udasina bhava. Udasina bhava means an attitude of indifference to these things. Yes, okay, but it's inevitable there will be. Even Bhagavan had problems in relationships. When he was living on the hill, there were sadhus who were jealous of him because more people were coming to him than coming to them. So there were problems there. You cannot live as a person in this world without having relationship problems. But what we need to do is to separate ourselves from this person. All these problems that happened around Bhagavan, not only the jealous sadhus, in later years, Perumal Swami, who at one time was a very good devotee of Bhagavan, but he wanted to have an upper hand. In Skandashram, he was more or less the manager of the ashram. So but because he was bossing over people, people slowly started to sideline him. They didn't want him, someone bossing over them. So he got pushed aside because of his own behavior, and therefore he got angry. But I am a rightful manager of the ashram. So he even put court cases against Bhagavan. Most of us go through our life smoothly without anyone putting court cases against us. Bhagavan had to face court cases put against him. So it is inevitable there will be problems in relationships in this world. How do we escape all these problems? By disidentifying ourselves with this person. Though Perumal Swami gave so much trouble to Bhagavan, Bhagavan was always very, very kind to him. One of the court cases, that Perumal Swami lost the court case in the lower court. So he came to the ashram and he came to Bhagavan and said, you may have won this case, but I will not leave you. I will take you to the high court. I will take you to the Supreme Court, but I will not leave you. What can you do? Even if you're God as you claim to be, which Bhagavan, of course, never claimed to be, but even if you're God as you claim to be, even if you, what can you do? You can only put me in hell, but I will not leave you. Bhagavan said, even if you go to hell, I will not leave you. That actually, those are words of supreme compassion. At that time, Perumal Swami took that as a challenge. But Bhagavan is going to continue fighting the court case even when they go to hell together. But what Bhagavan meant is something quite different. Why will Bhagavan not leave him even if he goes to hell? Because Bhagavan is that I in Perumal Swami, but is saying, I will not leave you. So we can never leave Bhagavan. But in later years, when Perumal Swami, having lost all his court cases and lost all his friends and supporters, when he was nearing the end of his life, and he was beginning to regret all the mistakes he had made, one day he came to the ashram dispensary because he was sick, so he came to get some medicines. This was in the 1950s. At that time, Sadhu Om was living in the ashram, and he was assisting the doctor as the compounder in the dispensary. So Perumal Swami came there, and Perumal Swami told Sadhu Om, I was so foolish. I put all these cases against Bhagavan. And one day when I challenged Bhagavan and I said, I will not leave you, he said, even if I go to hell, he will not leave me. At that time, I didn't understand what he meant. Now I understand those are words of supreme compassion. What a fool I have been to have wasted my life in this way. But of course, his life isn't wasted, because even though he was thinking of Bhagavan with so much enmity, he was at least thinking of Bhagavan. And mere thought of Bhagavan, mere thought of Aranatra is enough for liberation. So Bhagavan will save him in spite of all the trouble he gave him. So when Bhagavan was so indifferent to all, or so unaffected by all the relationship problems he had, which are far greater than relationship problems we have, because, of course, when you get name and fame, along with name and fame will come shame and blame. They're inevitable. They always go together. So the more famous you get, the more people will abuse you and be jealous of you and everything. So we shouldn't be, we need to be indifferent to all these things. Just like Bhagavan was unaffected by all these things, we need to be unaffected. How can we be unaffected? Only by turning within and separating ourselves from this person whom we seem to be. So long as I am Michael, if people say nasty things to Michael, I will take offense. But why should I think I am Michael? Let them say anything they want about Michael. I shouldn't take myself to be Michael and thereby take offense. I hope that adequately answers that question.